The council voted to control humanity, but then humans walked in. The Grand Orbital Station hung like a jewel against the backdrop of swirling nebula gases. Inside the central chamber, 12 representatives from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy gathered around a circular table. Light from the nearby star filtered through massive viewports, casting everyone in a soft blue glow. Ambassador Xilith, a tall being with iridescent skin and 4 arms, stood to address the assembly. The Galactic Council had been in session for 3 standard days, but today's topic was the most contentious yet. We now turn to the human situation, Xilith said, gesturing to the holographic display that appeared above the table. Earth continues its expansion at an alarming rate. The display showed human outposts spreading across their solar system, with preliminary designs for faster-than-light engines. General Drax of the Krex Imperium leaned forward, his reptilian scales reflecting the light. They develop weapons alongside their exploration technology, classic predator behavior. All species develop defenses, countered Mira, the Zorathi representative. Her crystalline form pulsed with gentle light. Humans are merely cautious. Cautious, snorted Ambassador Krell of the Vargan Collective. They split the atom and immediately built bombs. Their history is written in blood. Xilith raised a hand for quiet. Let us view the latest assessment. The hologram shifted to show human cities, their technology, their conflicts, and their art. Data streamed alongside the images, projecting development timelines. Our models indicate they will achieve viable FTL travel within 50 years, said the Medusan representative, a being composed of swirling gases contained in a mechanical suit. Their mathematical progress is concerning. It is their unpredictability that troubles me, said Xilith. Look at their entertainment media. They constantly imagine alien life as hostile. They prepare for war with species they haven't even encountered. Ambassador Soren, an energy being housed in a humanoid form, spoke up. But they also imagine friendship with alien life. Their capacity for cooperation is remarkable when their tribal instincts are overcome, which happens rarely, General Drax growled. I recommend immediate containment protocols. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices. Some advocated for first contact, others for quarantine, and the most extreme for preventative measures against potential human aggression. Xilith called for order. We have monitored Earth for centuries. The humans have no knowledge of our existence. We have time to deliberate properly. The Zorathi representative's crystalline form flashed with emotion. We cannot judge an entire species on their worst examples. Humans showed tremendous potential for growth. Growth in what direction? Asked Krell. They could become valuable allies or the greatest threat this galaxy has ever known. For hours, they debated. The Krex insisted that humanity's warlike tendencies made them too dangerous to join galactic society. The Zorathi believed humans could bring fresh perspectives. The practical Vargan suggested limited technology sharing to guide human development. Finally, Xilith called for a vote. The motion before the council is to place humanity under supervised development, limiting their expansion beyond their solar system until they demonstrate sufficient stability. One by one, the representatives cast their votes. When finished, the tally stood at 10 in favor, 2 against. The Zorathi and Soren's people stood alone in opposition. The motion carries, Xilith announced. We will begin implementing subtle technological barriers and continue close observation. As Xilith prepared to adjourn the session, a low alarm sounded throughout the station. The representatives looked around in confusion. A junior aide rushed into the chamber, their face showing clear distress. Ambassadors, we have detected an unauthorized ship approaching the station. Pirates. General Drax reached for his ceremonial weapon. No, the aide said, voice trembling. It appears to be human. Silence fell over the chamber. The holographic display shifted to show an approaching vessel of unfamiliar design, but unmistakably of Earth origin. Impossible, whispered Xilith, staring at the image. They can't have FTL capability yet. They're hailing us, the aide said, in 17 different galactic languages. The Council voted to control humanity, but then humans walked in. A collective gasp echoed through the Council chamber as the massive viewscreen displayed the approaching human vessel. Its design was unlike anything in their databases, sleek with unusual geometry that somehow allowed it to navigate the difficult approach to the station without guidance. "They shouldn't be here," muttered General Drax. "Our intelligence indicated they were at least 4 decades from achieving FTL travel." Ambassador Xilith quickly composed himself. "We must receive them with diplomatic protocol. Clear the Council records from display. Everyone, remember your training for first contact scenarios." The station's docking systems engaged automatically, guiding the human ship to an external port. Security teams took positions along the corridors leading to the Council chamber, instructed to appear ceremonial rather than threatening. 20 minutes later, the chamber doors slid open. 2 humans entered first, a man and a woman in matching navy blue uniforms with silver trim. They were followed by 4 others in similar but less decorated attire. "Greetings," said the woman, stepping forward. "I am Ambassador Susan Miller of Earth. This is Captain John Carter of the exploration vessel Endeavour." The Council members exchanged glances of shock. The humans were speaking perfect galactic standard, the diplomatic language of the Council. Xilith stepped forward. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome you. I am Ambassador Xilith, current Council Chair." Each word was carefully measured, hiding the chaos of emotions beneath. Captain Carter surveyed the room, his eyes lingering on the still active vote tally display that someone had forgotten to clear. "I see we've interrupted something important." The Medusan representative quickly deactivated the display, but the damage was done. "How did you find this station?" General Drax demanded, ignoring protocol. "How did you achieve faster-than-light travel?" Ambassador Miller smiled. "We've been monitoring your communications for some time, General. As for our technology, Earth has made several unexpected leaps forward." The humans proceeded into the chamber, showing no sign of awe or intimidation. One of them, a woman with a device strapped to her wrist, was discreetly scanning everything. "You've been monitoring us?" Mira, the Zorathi representative, asked. Her crystalline form pulsed with surprise. "For approximately 15 Earth years," Captain Carter confirmed. "One of your observation probes malfunctioned and crashed in a remote area. We recovered it, and, well, learned quite a lot." "Impossible," sputtered Ambassador Krell. "Those probes are designed to self-destruct if compromised." "Yes, we noticed that feature," said another human, a tall man with dark skin who carried himself with scientific authority. "Fortunately, we disarmed it in time." The Council members looked at each other in growing alarm. These humans had not only reversed-engineered alien technology, but had done so starting with a simple observation drone. Ambassador Miller stepped toward the central table. "We understand this is unexpected, but Earth is prepared for peaceful integration with the galactic community. We request formal diplomatic recognition and wish to discuss our potential membership in this council." "Membership." General Drax nearly choked on the word. "You barely have interstellar capability." Captain Carter's expression remained neutral, but his eyes hardened. "We have enough capability to find this station, navigate here undetected until we chose to reveal ourselves, and translate your languages. I believe that demonstrates sufficient advancement." Xilith raised all 4 hands in a calming gesture. "This is most unprecedented. The Council has protocols for first contact that have stood for millennia." "With respect," Ambassador Miller replied, "this isn't first contact. Your species have been visiting Earth throughout our history. We're simply returning the favor." One of the humans handed Miller a data device. She placed it on the Council table where it projected images of various alien observation posts on Earth, complete with timestamps and locations. "Now," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, "shall we begin actual diplomatic relations?" The Council voted to control humanity, But then humans walked in. "This emergency session will come to order," Ambassador Xylith announced, his four arms making the traditional gestures of council authority. The humans had been escorted to luxury quarters designed for visiting dignitaries, while the council reconvened in a smaller, more secure chamber. General Drax paced the room, his clawed feet clicking against the polished floor. "They must have spies among us. How else could they have found this station? How else could they have learned our languages?" "Analysis indicates no security breaches," the Medusan representative countered, his gaseous form swirling more rapidly inside his containment suit. "The humans appear to have developed their capabilities independently." Ambassador Krell slammed a fist on the table. "Independently? Impossible. They were throwing spears at each other a few millennia ago. Now they're here." Mira, the Zorathi representative, remained calm. Her crystalline structure glowed softly as she spoke. "We have always known humans are adaptable. Perhaps we underestimated just how adaptable." The Council's head of intelligence, a shadowy figure known only as the Observer, stepped forward from the corner where he had been silently watching. His species was unknown to most, his face always concealed behind a reflective mask. "The humans have been accessing our networks," the Observer stated flatly. "Not through spies or physical breaches, but through technology we didn't believe they could possess." Gasps echoed around the chamber. "For how long?" Silith demanded. "At least 3 Earth years," replied the Observer. "They developed quantum decryption algorithms that shouldn't have been possible with their level of science. They've been reading our reports about them." General Drax's scales flushed dark with anger. "Then they know everything. Our containment plans, our analysis of their weaknesses." "Not everything," the Observer cut in. "Only what pertained to Earth. But it was enough for them to find us." Ambassador Soren, the energy being, floated closer to the center of the room. "I see opportunity here. The humans have demonstrated intelligence and innovation beyond our models. Would they not make valuable allies?" "Allies?" General Drax spat the word. "They are barely civilized. They still fight wars among themselves." "So did all our species at some point," Mira noted. "I remind the Council that my people supported integration rather than control of humanity." The debate raged for hours. Some Council members saw the humans as a threat to be contained, others as potential partners, and some simply didn't know what to think of a species that had so thoroughly upended their expectations. "The question remains," Zilith finally said, bringing focus back to the discussion. "What do we do now that they are here?" "We cannot simply give them a seat on the Council," Ambassador Krell insisted. "There are procedures, tests, trials. Procedures they might consider insulting, given they know we've been observing them for centuries," Mira pointed out. The Observer stepped forward again. "There is more. The human ship, the Endeavor, it has weapons capabilities we cannot fully analyze, and their delegation includes individuals with military training." A tense silence fell over the room. "Are you suggesting they came prepared for conflict?" Silith asked quietly. "I am suggesting they came prepared for any outcome," the Observer replied. "Which is concerning." Ambassador Soren's energy form pulsed. "Perhaps we should be direct with them. Admit our surveillance and explain our concerns about their development. And admit we just voted to control their species." General Drax laughed bitterly. "I'm sure that will go well." Silith raised all 4 hands for silence. "We will delay any decision on human admission to the Council. We need time to assess this situation properly. In the meantime, we will treat them as honored guests while we investigate how they achieved this level of technology." "And if they demand answers?" asked Mira. "Then we will provide carefully selected truths," Silith replied. "Until we understand the full extent of what we're dealing with, caution must prevail." The Council voted unanimously to adopt this approach, their previous disagreements temporarily set aside in the face of this unprecedented situation. None of them noticed the small device hidden beneath the conference table, silently transmitting everything to the human quarters. The council voted to control humanity, but then humans walked in. Dr. William Grant studied the alien data flowing across his tablet screen. The small device hidden beneath the council table was working perfectly, transmitting every word of the emergency session directly to the human delegation's quarters. As the science officer of the Endeavor, he was responsible for understanding alien technology, a job he excelled at for good reason. "They're stalling," Captain Carter said, reading over Grant's shoulder, "and investigating how we got here." Ambassador Miller nodded. "Just as we expected." The human quarters were luxurious but clearly designed for different physiologies. The gravity was slightly off, the lighting too blue, and the furniture oddly proportioned. None of this bothered the 6 humans who had gathered around a makeshift conference table. "Dr. Grant," Miller asked, "would you brief everyone on how exactly we got here? I believe the council would find your story quite interesting." Grant set down his tablet and smiled. 5 years ago, he had been a theoretical physicist working at a university laboratory. Now he was millions of light years from Earth. "It started with the crash," he began. 10 years ago, something fell from the sky in northern Canada. It wasn't a meteor. It was trying to control its descent. On his tablet, he pulled up images of the wreckage, a small, oval craft about the size of a car, largely intact despite its crash landing. The government secured it, of course. Called in specialists. I wasn't part of the initial team, but they brought me in when they realized the mathematics in the ship's computer was beyond current human understanding. Lieutenant Kate Rogers, the delegation's security officer, leaned forward. "Tell them about the body." Grant nodded. "The pilot was dead. A Medusan. We now know. Their containment suit was damaged, but the ship's systems were partially operational." The images on his tablet shifted to show the alien craft in a secure facility, surrounded by scientists in protective gear. It wasn't a military vessel. It was an observation platform, designed to orbit Earth and monitor us. We learned that dozens more were in orbit. They'd been watching us for centuries. "And no one knew?" asked the youngest member of the delegation, communications specialist Peter Walsh. "No one was supposed to know," Grant corrected. "Their stealth technology was excellent, but this one malfunctioned. Pure luck." Captain Carter picked up the story. The political implications were enormous. World governments quietly united resources. We realized we weren't alone, and we were being watched. Grant continued. The ship had an FTL communications array and navigational data. We couldn't read it at first, but the breakthrough came with AI assistance. He displayed images of a woman working at a complex computer station. Dr. Olivia Rice developed a quantum AI system specifically to decode alien languages and mathematics. Once we could read their data, everything changed. "We learned so much, so quickly," Carter added. "Their observation reports on us, their technology, their fuel systems, and their networks," Grant said. Dr. Rice discovered they used quantum entanglement for faster-than-light communication. Once we understood the principle, we could listen in. Ambassador Miller smiled, and what we heard was concerning. Debates about containing humanity, limiting our development, even discussions of more drastic measures by some species. "So we accelerated the Endeavor program," Carter said. "Built in secret using reverse-engineered technology. We needed to establish contact on our terms, not theirs." Grant pulled up technical schematics of the Endeavor. "We adapted their propulsion systems but made improvements. The aliens never expected us to understand the technology so quickly, let alone enhance it." "And their encryption?" Walsh asked. "Also cracked by Dr. Ray's AI systems," Grant replied. "They used mathematical principles we hadn't discovered yet, but once the AI understood them, breaking their codes was relatively straightforward." Ambassador Miller stood up and faced her team. "The Council thinks they've been studying us. They don't realize how much we've learned about them. We know about their previous interventions on developing worlds, their internal politics, even their disagreements about Earth. Which gives us leverage, Carter added, checking the time. Their session is ending. They'll summon us soon to deliver their diplomatic non-answer. Miller nodded confidently. Then we'll show them just how prepared humans can be. The council voted to control humanity, but then humans walked in. The Grand Council chamber felt different when the humans returned. Gone was the initial shock of their arrival. Now tension filled the air like an electrical charge before a storm. Ambassador Miller led her delegation with confident steps toward the center of the room, where Ambassador Silith waited with 6 other council members. "Thank you for your patience," Silith began, his 4 arms making formal gestures of greeting. "The council has discussed your unexpected arrival and request for diplomatic recognition." "And?" Miller asked, her voice calm but direct. "We welcome cultural exchange with humanity," Silith said carefully. "However, council membership follows established protocols. Species must demonstrate certain developmental milestones over time. Your sudden appearance here, while impressive, circumvents this process." Captain Carter stepped forward. "With respect, Ambassador, we believe those protocols may be outdated." Whispers rippled through the chamber. No visiting delegation had ever challenged council procedures so directly. Ambassador Miller opened a small case she carried and removed a data crystal. "Before we continue this discussion, I'd like to share some information with the council." She placed the crystal on the central podium. It activated, projecting a series of images above the table. Alien ships in Earth orbit, concealed bases on the Moon, and monitoring stations hidden in Earth's oceans. "For centuries, your species have observed Earth without our consent," Miller stated. "You've cataloged our wars, studied our biology, and judged our worthiness, all while hiding your existence from us." General Drax rose from his seat, scales darkening with anger. "How did you obtain these images?" "The same way we found this station," Carter replied. "Through careful observation and analysis of your own data. You've been watching us, General. We've been watching you back." The next images showed council ships interfering with other developing worlds, redirecting asteroids to prevent one civilization's expansion, introducing diseases to slow another's population growth, and sabotaging nuclear research on a third world. "The Council has a pattern of controlling species it deems threatening," Miller continued, "just as you voted to control humanity yesterday." The chamber erupted in chaos. Accusations flew across the room as council members demanded to know how humans had accessed their private session. Captain Carter raised his voice above the din. "We're not here to make accusations. We're here to establish honest diplomatic relations." "By spying on us," Ambassador Krell demanded. "By protecting ourselves," Miller corrected. "Just as you would do." Lieutenant Rogers stepped forward with another device. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order." The holographic display shifted to show Earth's solar system, then expanded to reveal a network of defense platforms and ships that had been invisible to council sensors. "This is our current defensive capability," Carter explained. "Built using adaptations of technology we learned from you. Not as advanced as some of your systems, but effective enough." The council members stared in shock at the display. What they had believed to be a single ship and a lucky breakthrough was revealed as something far more organized and extensive. "You've been preparing for war," General Drax accused. "We've been preparing for this meeting," Miller countered. "Humanity has no desire for conflict, but we will not be controlled, contained, or limited by those who hide in shadows." Dr. Grant activated a simulation showing potential military scenarios. "Our analysts project that open conflict would damage both sides significantly. There would be no clear winner, only mutual destruction." Ambassador Mira, who had supported humanity from the beginning, spoke up. "What exactly does Earth want from this council?" Miller's expression softened slightly. "Partnership, not subjugation. Humanity offers new perspectives, innovative thinking, and alliance. We don't want to disrupt galactic peace. We want to enhance it." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The species who had ruled space for millennia now faced a choice: adapt to humanity's unexpected rise or risk conflict with an unpredictable adversary. Ambassador Xylith finally broke the silence. This council must deliberate on your proposal. These revelations require careful consideration. Of course, Miller agreed. But know this: humanity is here to stay among the stars. The only question is whether we move forward as allies or adversaries. As the human delegation departed, the council members exchanged troubled glances. For the first time in thousands of years, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in a single day. The council voted to control humanity. But then humans walked in. Ambassador Miller was reviewing reports in her quarters when the door chimed softly. She glanced at the security display, surprised to see the crystalline form of Mira, the Zorathi representative, waiting outside. "Enter," Miller called, closing her data screens with a quick gesture. The door slid open, and Mira glided in. Her crystalline body pulsed with soft blue light, indicating what humans had learned was a calm emotional state. "Ambassador Miller," Mira said, her voice creating gentle, harmonic tones. "I apologize for coming unannounced. This visit is not officially sanctioned by the council." Miller nodded and gestured to a seat. "I appreciate your directness, Ambassador Mira. What can I do for you?" Mira settled her crystalline form carefully on the modified chair. "I believe humans have a saying about the enemy of your enemy being your friend," Miller finished, eyebrows raised in interest. "Are you suggesting an alliance?" "Perhaps." Mira's colors shifted to a deeper blue. "Not all council members wish to control or contain humanity. Some of us have advocated for your species for centuries." Captain Carter entered from the adjoining room, having heard the conversation. "Why would the Zorathi support humans? We've never met until now." Mira's crystals chimed softly, their equivalent of a thoughtful sigh. "There is much you don't know about galactic history. My people have an ancient prophecy about a species called the Bridgemakers who would unite the divided powers of the galaxy." "And you think we're these Bridgemakers?" Miller asked skeptically. "For 12,000 years, the Council has maintained a delicate balance of power, while less developed worlds are kept isolated until deemed ready." Mira's colors shifted to purple. "This system preserves peace but stifles innovation. The Zorathi believe the Bridgemakers will change this." Dr. Grant joined them, setting up a small device that would block any surveillance. "Why tell us this now?" "Because General Drax and his allies are planning to take control of the station," Mira revealed. "They fear what humanity represents: unpredictability, rapid advancement, resistance to control. They will not allow your delegation to leave with knowledge of their operations." Miller and Carter exchanged glances. "We suspected something like this might happen," Carter admitted. "Our ship is on alert status." "It won't be enough," Mira warned. "They've already moved assets into position around your vessel. They plan to force you to accept council oversight or—" She didn't finish the sentence. "Or eliminate us as a threat," Miller concluded grimly. Mira's crystalline form pulsed with affirmation. "Drax has convinced 4 other species to join his faction. They believe humanity must be contained at any cost." "And the other council members?" Grant asked. "Divided," Mira replied. "Some are undecided, waiting to see how events unfold. My people will stand with humans, as will Ambassador Soren's faction." Lieutenant Rogers entered the room, immediately assessing the situation. "We've detected unusual movement in the station's security forces. They're positioning people near our docking bay." Miller turned to Mira. "How much time do we have?" "Hours, perhaps less," the crystalline being answered. Drax wanted to act immediately, but Silith insisted on following protocol with a formal vote. "They're gathering support now." Carter activated his communicator. "Carter to Endeavor. Initiate Protocol Horizon. Authentication code Alpha 97 Delta." "What's your plan?" Mira asked, her color shifting to an anxious yellow. Miller smiled confidently. "We came prepared for this possibility. We have allies back home who can send reinforcements if needed, but first, we need to secure our position here. The station's communication systems, Grant suggested, if we can broadcast what's happening to other worlds. Mira's crystals brightened. Yes, many civilizations outside the Council would be alarmed to learn of Drax's methods. I can help you access the main communication array. Rogers checked her weapons discreetly. We should move quickly. Once they realize you're meeting with us, they'll accelerate their plans. Then we have work to do, Miller said, standing up decisively. Ambassador Mira, it seems humanity and the Zorathi are about to make history together. As they prepared to leave, Mira's form glowed with a brilliant white light. Perhaps the prophecy was right after all. The time of change has come. The Council voted to control humanity, but then humans walked in. The first shots were fired 3 hours later. Lieutenant Kate Rogers ducked behind a curved wall as energy blasts sizzled past her position. The station's main corridor, normally a place of diplomatic passage, had become a battlefield. So much for peaceful negotiations, she muttered, checking her weapon, a compact energy pistol based on reversed-engineered alien technology. Through her earpiece, she could hear the controlled chaos of her team coordinating their defense. Captain Carter's voice followed. Remember the mission parameters, minimal casualties. We're here to prevent a coup, not start a war. Rogers peered around the corner. 4 of General Drax's security forces were advancing, using mobile shield generators to protect themselves. Behind them, she could see the general himself, his reptilian face twisted with determination. This station belongs to the Council, Drax shouted. Surrender the humans and their sympathizers immediately. From another corridor, Ambassador Xilith's voice rang out. This action is unauthorized, General. The Council has not voted on this measure. The Council is compromised. Drax responded. The humans have infiltrated our systems and corrupted our allies. Emergency protocols are in effect. Rogers touched her communication device. Miller, are you receiving this? Drax is claiming emergency authority. In the station's communication center, Ambassador Miller and Dr. Grant worked quickly alongside Mira and 2 other Zorathi engineers. They had barricaded the doors, but security override attempts flashed repeatedly on the control panels. We hear it, Miller confirmed. Almost ready here. Grant? The scientist's fingers flew across the alien interface. Broadcast systems accessed. We're patched into the Galactic Emergency Channel now. Miller nodded and stepped before the communication array. This is Ambassador Susan Miller of Earth. I am broadcasting to all civilizations within Council space. The Galactic Council Station is under attack by forces led by General Drax, who seek to suppress information about Council activities regarding developing worlds. In the corridors, the fighting intensified. What had begun as a coup against the human delegation had evolved into a full factional conflict within the Council. Species that had coexisted peacefully for millennia now found themselves on opposite sides of a philosophical divide. Those who wanted to control emerging civilizations and those who advocated for integration. Lieutenant Rogers and her small security team had been joined by Ambassador Soren's guards and the Zorathi security forces. They had established defensive positions around key areas of the station. Watch your left. Rogers called to a Zorathi guard as a Krex soldier appeared from a maintenance shaft, the crystalline being pivoted just in time, firing a stun pulse that dropped the attacker. Your combat training is impressive, the Zorathi guard noted, his crystals flashing with surprised approval. Earth has known war, Rogers replied grimly. We hoped not to bring that knowledge here. Across the station, Captain Carter led another team toward the Council chamber. They moved with practiced precision, securing each intersection before advancing. Status report, he demanded into his communicator. Miller here, broadcast complete. We've transmitted evidence of Council interference on developing worlds to over 300 systems. The response is already flooding in. Many civilizations are demanding explanations. Endeavour reports 6 Council warships approaching, Boyd added. But they're being shadowed by vessels from non-Council worlds who received our transmission. Carter smiled slightly. The galaxy is watching now. Drax can't simply disappear us. As if summoned by his name, General Drax appeared at the far end of the corridor with a full squad of elite troops. His scales had darkened to nearly black with rage. "You've destroyed millennia of order," he snarled at Carter. "Primitive humans playing with forces you don't understand." "We understand enough," Carter replied calmly. "We understand that progress doesn't come from control, but from cooperation." Drax raised his weapon. "Your species is too dangerous to be allowed freedom among the stars." Before he could fire, the station shuddered violently. Emergency lights flashed as a powerful energy field enveloped the entire structure. "Attention," came Ambassador Xylith's voice over the station-wide communication system. "This conflict ends now. The full council has convened an emergency session and suspended all military action. All personnel will stand down immediately." In the sudden silence that followed, humans and aliens alike lowered their weapons, uncertain of what would come next. The coup had failed, but the galactic order had been irrevocably changed. The council voted to control humanity, but then humans walked in. 3 days after the failed coup, the council chamber was restored to order. The damage from the conflict had been minimal, a testament to the restraint shown by both sides. Now representatives from twice as many worlds as before filled the expanded chamber. News of the broadcast had brought delegations from dozens of previously uninvolved civilizations. Ambassador Miller stood at the center of the chamber beside Captain Carter. Across from them, Ambassador Xylith presided over the gathering. General Drax was notably absent, having been removed from his position pending a formal investigation. "This expanded session of the Galactic Council is now in order," Xylith announced, his forearms making the traditional gestures with a new sense of humility. "Recent events have necessitated a reconsideration of our fundamental principles." The chamber was quiet. Many of the original council members looked uncomfortable, while representatives from newly arrived worlds watched with keen interest. "For 12,000 years," Xylith continued, "this council has maintained what we believed was galactic stability. We now recognize that stability came at a cost: the autonomy of developing worlds and the diversity of thought that drives true progress." Ambassador Miller stepped forward. "Earth does not seek to dismantle what works in the current order. We propose instead to transform it into something better, a truly representative body that respects the rights of all species to develop along their own paths." She activated a holographic display showing a new charter, one drafted jointly by humans, Zorathi, and several other species over the intense negotiations of the past 3 days. "This galactic concordat establishes new principles," Miller explained. "No interference with developing worlds without their knowledge and consent. Technological sharing rather than restriction. Collective security against genuine threats rather than perceived ones." Murmurs spread through the chamber as representatives reviewed the document on their own devices. Ambassador Mira glided forward, her crystalline form glowing brightly. "The Zorathi support this charter fully. For too long, the Council has feared change. The arrival of humanity has shown us that adaptation is not just necessary, it is vital." One by one, representatives rose to voice their positions. Some embraced the new vision enthusiastically. Others expressed reservations but acknowledged the need for reform. A few hardliners objected strongly, but they were now in the minority. After hours of debate, Xylith called for a formal vote. The holographic tally appeared above the central table, growing steadily as each world registered its decision. "The final count stands at 28 in favor, 7 against, 3 abstentions," Xylith announced. "The Galactic Concordat is ratified, effective immediately." Captain Carter exchanged a glance with Lieutenant Rogers, both hardly believing what they were witnessing. Earth, unknown to the galaxy just 1 week ago, had catalyzed the greatest political transformation in 12 millennia of galactic history. In accordance with the new charter, Silith continued, Earth is granted full membership in the Reformed Council, as are all previously excluded spacefaring civilizations who wish to join. Ambassador Miller bowed slightly. On behalf of humanity, we accept this responsibility and pledge to work toward a more open, innovative, and cooperative galaxy. The formal session concluded, and the chamber filled with the buzz of dozens of conversations as representatives moved to introduce themselves to the humans. Dr. Grant approached Miller and Carter quietly. It worked better than we could have hoped, he said, though I doubt Earth's governments expected quite this level of success when they sent us. Speaking of which, Carter replied, the Endeavor has established stable communication with home. The United Earth Council is processing the news. Miller laughed softly. I imagine they are. We left to establish contact and returned with membership in a galactic government. Across the chamber, Mira approached with Ambassador Soren. The prophecy spoke true. Mira said, her crystals pulsing with joy. The bridge-makers have come. Soren's energy form glowed warmly. This is only the beginning. Already, worlds that remained isolated under the old council are sending delegations, and there is much to explore beyond our known space. Miller looked out through the vast viewports at the glittering stars beyond. That's what humans do best, she said. Explore, adapt, connect. We never imagined finding friends among the stars, but now that we have. Now, Carter finished, we build bridges together. As the station orbited the distant sun, representatives of 100 worlds, old powers and new voices alike, began the work of creating a truly united galaxy, and at the center of it all stood the humans, the unexpected catalyst that had transformed fear into hope and isolation into connection. The Council had voted to control humanity, but in the end, humanity had shown them a better way.